The text message flashing on Ethan Walker's phone made his blood run cold. I know what happened that night at the Hartwell fire. Pay $10 million by midnight, or everyone finds out you're a murderer. His hands trembled as he set down his champagne glass at the upscale restaurant where his blind date was already 30 minutes late. The threat wasn't just about money, it was about the darkest secret he'd spent a decade burying, one that could destroy everything he'd built and send him to prison for life. As the wealthiest tech entrepreneur under 40 in the city, Ethan had enemies, but who could know about that night? The restaurant's ambient lighting suddenly felt like a spotlight on his guilt. He loosened his tie, fighting to maintain his composed exterior while his mind raced through who might be blackmailing him and how much they actually knew. His date's no-show was now the least of his concerns. By midnight, he could lose his billion-dollar company, his freedom, and the carefully constructed facade he'd maintained since the tragedy that haunted his dreams. Are you sad because you're all alone? The small voice startled him from his spiral of panic. A little girl, perhaps 7 years old, stood beside his table, clutching a worn teddy bear. Her innocent question pierced through his crisis with unexpected clarity. Before he could answer, a woman rushed over, tall, with flowing chestnut hair that caught the restaurant's golden light. Lily. I'm so sorry, sir, she apologized, her emerald eyes meeting his with genuine embarrassment. My daughter has a habit of adopting strangers she thinks look lonely. If you're enjoying this unexpected encounter, hit that like button and let me know in the comments if you've ever had a chance meeting that changed your life. I'm not lonely. I'm waiting, Ethan lied smoothly, his practiced charm sliding into place despite the blackmail text burning a hole in his pocket. He extended his hand to the woman. Ethan Walker. And it seems your daughter has excellent people-reading skills. Rebecca Collins, she replied, her handshake firm and confident. And this is Lily. We should leave you to your evening. Your eyes look scared, Lily interrupted, staring up at Ethan with unnerving perception. Like my mommy's eyes did when we had to run away from the bad man. Rebecca's face drained of color. Lily, that's enough. I'm so sorry, Mr. Walker. She tugged gently at her daughter's hand, but Ethan found himself asking them to stay, offering them seats at his table. Something about the little girl's words struck him. The mention of running from someone dangerous resonated with his current predicament in ways he couldn't explain. As they reluctantly sat down, Ethan noticed the worn edges of Rebecca's otherwise elegant dress and the protective way she kept her body angled between her daughter and the restaurant entrance. This woman was hiding something too, perhaps running from someone. For the first time in hours, the blackmail text receded in his mind as his curiosity about these unexpected dinner companions grew. So, Rebecca, what brings you to Maison d'Argent on a Tuesday evening? He asked, gesturing to one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. She hesitated before answering. Job interview. The restaurant manager position. We're starting over. Her voice carried the weight of someone who had lost everything before. Mommy used to own a restaurant before the fire, Lily added innocently, causing Rebecca to stiffen visibly. Ethan's heart nearly stopped. Fire. The word triggered flashes of that night at Hartwell. Smoke. Screams. His hasty decision that had haunted him for 10 years. Could this be connected to his blackmailer somehow? He studied Rebecca's face more carefully, searching for any sign she might recognize him from before. The waiter arrived with Ethan's expensive bottle of wine, awkwardly noting it was for 2, not 3. The lady I was meeting isn't coming, Ethan explained, then impulsively added, but I'd be honored if you'd join me instead, Rebecca. The first course arrived as Rebecca cautiously shared fragments of her story, a successful restaurant destroyed in a fire, an abusive ex-husband who'd become dangerous, and her desperate flight with Lily to start somewhere new. With each passing minute, Ethan found himself drawn to her resilience, her quiet strength, and the way her smile transformed her face when Lily made her laugh despite everything. This unexpected dinner is just beginning. If you're wondering how these two wounded souls might help heal each other, subscribe now to make sure you don't miss what happens next. asterisk. So you're really a billionaire? Lily asked between bites of her dessert, hours later. Like in the movies? Ethan laughed, the first genuine laugh he'd experienced in weeks. Yes, though it's not always as fun as movies make it seem. Is that why someone is trying to hurt you? Lily asked, causing both adults to freeze. Rebecca set down her fork. Lily, what are you talking about? He got a scary message on his phone. I saw his face when he read it earlier. Ethan met Rebecca's questioning gaze. Something about her made him want to confess everything, a feeling both terrifying and oddly liberating. Your daughter is very observant, he said quietly. I did receive a threatening message tonight. The admission hung between them, changing the atmosphere. Rebecca leaned forward, lowering her voice. Is that why you were sitting alone? Your date cancelled. Never showed up, Ethan confirmed. Blind date arranged by my CFO who thinks I work too much. He checked his watch, 3 hours until the blackmailer's midnight deadline. The brief respite of their dinner was ending, reality crashing back. Rebecca studied his face, then made a decision. Lily and I should go. Thank you for dinner, Mr. Walker. As they stood to leave, Lily tugged at Ethan's sleeve. Sometimes when I'm scared, I have to be brave and tell the truth. That's what Mommy says. Her simple words hit Ethan like a physical blow. The truth. For 10 years, he'd been running from it, building an empire partly to escape it. What if facing it was the only way forward? Wait, he called as Rebecca and Lily headed for the door. There's something I need to tell you, both of you. He pulled out his wallet to leave payment for their meal, and a newspaper clipping fell out, yellowed with age, a headline about the Hartwell fire that had killed 3 people a decade ago. Rebecca stopped cold, her eyes fixed on the clipping. Why do you have that? Her voice had changed completely, ice replacing warmth. That fire, that was my parents' building. The restaurant seemed to tilt around Ethan as the impossible connection revealed itself. Of all the restaurants in the city, he'd met the daughter of the Hartwell building owners, the woman whose parents had died in the fire he'd been connected to, the fire his blackmailer was threatening to expose his role in. Rebecca, he began, but her eyes had already widened with dawning recognition. You were there that night. I remember now, you were the young investor who'd been arguing with my father about the building code violations. Her voice rose slightly. You knew how dangerous those conditions were and did nothing. Lily looked between them, sensing the sudden tension. Mommy? Before Ethan could respond, his phone buzzed with another text, 1 hour until deadline. I'm watching you with the Hartwell girl. Poetic, isn't it? Payment instructions to follow. The blackmailer was here, in this very restaurant, watching them. Asterisk, is this connection between Ethan and Rebecca fate or something more sinister? Drop a comment with your theory about who the blackmailer might be, asterisk. We need to leave. Now. Ethan grabbed Rebecca's arm, his eyes scanning the restaurant frantically. Someone's watching us, and you and Lily might be in danger because of me. Rebecca pulled away, her eyes filled with betrayal and confusion. What are you talking about? What do you have to do with my parents' death? Tell me the truth, Ethan. Not here, he pleaded, lowering his voice. I promise I'll explain everything, but right now, we need to get somewhere safe. Something in his urgency must have convinced her. Rebecca scooped Lily into her arms and followed Ethan through the kitchen exit to the private car waiting behind the restaurant. As they slid into the back seat, Ethan instructed his driver to take them to his penthouse, the only place with security he could trust. The ride passed in tense silence, broken only by Lily's occasional questions that neither adult fully answered. When they reached Ethan's building, the private elevator whisked them 60 floors up to his penthouse apartment, a sprawling glass and steel monument to his success that suddenly felt hollow under Rebecca's accusing gaze. You have 10 minutes to explain before I call the police, Rebecca said once they'd settled Lily with a tablet in the adjacent room. Ethan poured himself a drink with shaking hands. I didn't kill your parents, Rebecca. But I've carried the guilt of their deaths for 10 years because I could have prevented it. He revealed how as a young investor, he'd discovered the building's owner, Rebecca's father, had been cutting corners on safety to save money. They'd argued bitterly, but instead of reporting the violations, Ethan had pulled his investment and walked away, planning to let legal channels handle it eventually. The fire happened 3 days later, he said, voice breaking. I've spent 10 years building my company partly to develop safety technologies that would prevent similar tragedies. But I never reported what I knew before the fire, and someone finally discovered that fact. Rebecca's face showed a storm of emotions, grief, anger, confusion. So you didn't cause the fire, but you knew the building was a death trap and did nothing? Yes, Ethan admitted, the single word carrying the weight of a decade's guilt. Before Rebecca could respond, Ethan's phone chimed with the blackmailer's payment instructions. As he read them, his security system flashed a warning: someone had bypassed the first-floor security. They're in the building, Ethan said, moving quickly to activate the penthouse lockdown. Rebecca, I need you to take Lily and hide in the panic room. He showed her the hidden entrance behind his bookcase. I'm not going anywhere until I know who's after you. After us, she insisted. The elevator indicator showed someone ascending rapidly to their floor. It has to be someone who knows about both of us, someone connected to both the fire and your family, Ethan reasoned, mind racing. Someone who benefits from both revenge and money. Rebecca's face suddenly drained of color. Victor. My ex-husband. He worked for my father's insurance company. He would have had access to all the investigation files, and he's been trying to find Lily and me for months. The elevator dinged its arrival just as Ethan's security system detected the override. Get in the panic room, now. He pushed Rebecca toward the hidden door as the main entrance to the penthouse burst open. Asterisk, who's really behind the blackmail scheme, and what do they want beyond money? Hit that like button if you're on the edge of your seat waiting to find out. Asterisk. Victor Collins stood in the doorway, but he wasn't alone. Beside him stood Lawrence Hayes, Ethan's trusted CFO of 7 years, the same man who had arranged his blind date for tonight. Surprise, Lawrence said with a cold smile. Your date actually did show up, Ethan. Just not in the way you expected. Ethan positioned himself between the intruders and Rebecca. Lawrence? You're working with her ex-husband? Why? Because your precious company was built on my ideas, Lawrence snarled. While researching investment opportunities 7 years ago, I discovered your connection to the Hartwell fire and your subsequent guilt-driven safety initiatives. I used that knowledge to shape proposals you'd be psychologically primed to accept, proposals that made you billions while I remained just a well-paid employee. Victor stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Rebecca. And I married into the Hartwell insurance payout, only to have my wife run away with my meal ticket when she discovered I was embezzling from her parents' estate. You're the one who set the fire, Rebecca gasped, the pieces falling into place. You killed my parents for the insurance money. Technically, faulty wiring killed them, Victor smirked. I just made sure the timing worked out. Lawrence continued, when Victor approached me about finding Rebecca, I realized we could solve both our problems. He gets his wife and daughter back, along with control of her inheritance, and I get enough capital to launch my own competing company, using all the proprietary technology I've helped develop. Ethan's mind raced. The panic room was no longer an option, they were cut off from it. His security team would eventually notice the breach, but not soon enough. He needed to stall. The blackmail was never about exposing me, Ethan realized aloud. You needed me distracted while you accessed my secure servers tonight, during the system maintenance window. Lawrence's smile confirmed his theory. Very good. Right now, every piece of proprietary technology your company has developed is being extracted to my private servers. By morning, I'll have everything I need to destroy you legally and professionally. What Lawrence didn't know was that Ethan had secretly implemented a secondary security protocol after recent corporate espionage concerns, one that would activate if anyone attempted to download certain classified files, immediately alerting authorities. Lily suddenly appeared from the adjacent room, having heard the commotion. "Daddy?" she asked uncertainly, looking at Victor. Victor lunged toward her, but Rebecca moved faster, grabbing a heavy glass award from Ethan's desk and swinging it at her ex-husband's head with all her strength. The impact sent him crumpling to the floor as Lawrence reached inside his jacket. Ethan tackled Lawrence before he could draw what was surely a weapon, sending them both crashing into the glass coffee table. As they struggled, the building's security alarm finally blared to life, responding to the unauthorized data access attempt. "It's over, Lawrence," Ethan gasped, pinning his former CFO down. "The FBI Cyber Crimes Unit was automatically notified the moment you tried to access those files. They're probably already in the building." Lawrence's face contorted with rage as the distant sound of sirens confirmed Ethan's claim. Rebecca had gathered Lily in her arms, keeping her turned away from the violence while maintaining a safe distance from the still unconscious Victor. Within minutes, the penthouse was swarming with FBI agents and police, securing the scene and taking statements. As Victor and Lawrence were led away in handcuffs, Ethan approached Rebecca and Lily, uncertainty in every step. "I understand if you never want to see me again," he said quietly. "What I did, or failed to do, contributed to your parents' death. I don't expect forgiveness. If this story of redemption and unexpected connections has touched you, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the conclusion of this emotional journey." Rebecca studied him for a long moment, her arms still protectively around Lily. "You didn't cause the fire. Victor did. And while you should have reported those violations immediately, you've spent 10 years trying to make amends in your own way. What happens now?" Ethan asked, feeling more vulnerable than he had in years. Lily looked up at him with those perceptive eyes that had seen through him from the beginning. "Now you have to be brave and make things right, like Mommy taught me." In the days that followed, everything changed. Ethan provided his full testimony against Victor and Lawrence, publicly acknowledging his own failure to report the building violations years ago. Though he faced professional consequences and a significant fine, his honesty and cooperation prevented criminal charges. He established the Hartwell Foundation in honor of Rebecca's parents, dedicated to enforcing building safety codes and supporting families affected by similar tragedies. His company's safety technologies were made available at cost to property managers nationwide, potentially saving thousands of lives. Rebecca and Lily remained in the city as the cases against Victor and Lawrence proceeded. Though cautious, Rebecca allowed Ethan to stay in their lives, first as an ally in their legal battles, then gradually as a friend. Their shared connection to the tragedy created an understanding between them that no one else could fully comprehend. 6 months later, they sat together in a small neighborhood cafe, a far cry from their first meeting at the upscale restaurant. The foundation approved 15 more grants for families today, Ethan told her, watching her face light up with the news. "My parents would have been proud of that," Rebecca said, a bittersweet smile crossing her face. "They always believed in helping others, even when they struggled themselves." Lily, coloring beside them, looked up. "Are you still sad inside, Ethan?" The question, so characteristic of her directness, made him pause. "Not as much as I was, Lily. Helping people doesn't erase what happened, but it gives meaning to it." Rebecca reached across the table, covering his hand with hers. "That night when you were waiting for a blind date who never showed up, I never imagined how our lives would become intertwined. I'm grateful every day that Lily decided to approach a sad-looking stranger," Ethan admitted. "Even with everything that happened afterward, meeting you both changed everything for me." As Rebecca's fingers interlaced with his, Ethan realized that the chance encounter had given him something he'd been seeking far longer than he'd known: redemption, purpose, and the possibility of love built on the foundation of shared pain and healing. "Sometimes," Lily said wisely, returning to her coloring, the best things happen when plans go wrong. Asterisk if this story of redemption, unexpected connections, and second chances touched your heart, please like and subscribe to see more stories that remind us how life's most difficult moments can lead to our greatest blessings. Share in the comments a time when an unexpected meeting changed your life, asterisk. Through tragedy and deception, two broken people had found each other, not in the carefully orchestrated blind date that never happened, but in the messy, unexpected moments that life sometimes offers as second chances. As Ethan looked at Rebecca and Lily, he knew with absolute certainty that sometimes the family you find is the one you never knew you were looking for.